Look, this might just be the biggest action film of 2026.
Oh, easily. Without a doubt.
Right, because, we live in this era where if a video doesn't hook you in like 3 seconds, you swipe. You're gone.
We have zero attention span.
Exactly. Zero.
Yeah.
We want the hook, the punchline, the payoff right now. But then you step into a darkened theater, the doors close, the lights drop, and a director literally demands that you sit there locked in for nearly 4 grueling hours.
And there's no pause button.
No pause button.
Yeah.
And not only do you stay, but millions of other people are staying too. You are voluntarily trapping yourself in this visceral, just blood-soaked world. And somehow, it has become the single biggest cultural obsession of the year.
It really is.
Welcome to the Deep Dive, guys. Today, we are unpacking a movie that has completely hijacked the zeitgeist. We are talking about Dhurandhar 2, The Revenge.
And honestly, it defies every single rule of modern content consumption. I mean, we're looking at a nearly 4-hour espionage thriller here.
4.
Yeah, and it's simultaneously rewriting the economics of the box office while just aggressively dividing critics and audiences. It's a massive swing.
A massive swing, and that's exactly what we are going to dissect for you today. To figure out how this specific movie caught lightning in a bottle, we brought a huge stack of sources.
We've got a lot to get through.
Oh, we do. Top-tier critic reviews, real-time box office tracking, raw audience reactions straight from opening weekend, and my favorite part, some highly chaotic behind-the-scenes trade reports.
The off-screen drama is almost as wild as the movie.
It really is. So our mission today is to cut through all the deafening hype. How does an exhaustingly long, violently gritty spy saga become the thing everyone is arguing about? Okay, let's unpack this.
To really understand what works and, the highly debated flaws of this film, you have to first look at the sheer scale of its arrival.
Right.
Because this wasn't just a movie release, it was a manufactured cinematic earthquake.
That is barely an understatement. I mean, looking at the trade reports, the box office numbers are absolutely staggering.
Mind-blowing.
It pulled in 75 crore in paid previews alone.
Just the preview.
Just the previews. To put that in perspective for you guys watching or listening, most major blockbusters would literally kill to make that in their entire opening weekend.
Yeah, and it crossed the 100 crore mark almost instantly. It registered one of the biggest opening days in the history of Indian cinema.
And trade analysts right now, they're projecting it to just breeze past the 1,000 crore milestone. That is the Mount Everest of the box office.
The hype is unprecedented, but what's interesting is that this financial hype is built on a surprisingly heavy narrative foundation.
Yeah, let's get into the story. No major ending spoilers, of course.
Right. So for those tracking the lore, this film picks up in the massive power vacuum left by Raman Dakite's death at the end of the first film.
Such a great villain.
Incredible. But part 2 isn't just a straight continuation. It jumps back in time to recontextualize the protagonist. It charts the trauma of Jaskirat Singh Rangi.
Right, who starts off as this bright-eyed, idealistic aspirant for the Indian Army.
Exactly. And his entire psyche is just shattered by that horrific terror tragedy in Pathankot.
That tragedy is the total catalyst for him. You see him go from this devastated youth in Punjab all the way to morphing into his undercover alias Hamza Ali Mazari.
The feared Shir-e-Balar.
Yes, the absolute kingpin of Karachi's Liari underworld. And Liari isn't just a green screen backdrop here.
No, it feels very lived in.
It's notoriously one of Karachi's oldest, most historically dangerous neighborhoods. It's the perfect crucible for this mob power struggle.
And a revenge saga rolled into one.
Exactly. But, and I really got to push back here, I have to question the sheer ambition of the runtime.
The 229 minutes.
Yes. 3 hours and 49 minutes of screen time.
Right.
I mean, to me, that sounds like binge watching a dense miniseries, but someone bolted the theater doors shut.
Right.
Does the film actually justify demanding that much physical stamina from you, the audience? Or is it just an unchecked director indulging in massive cinematic bloat?
Well, you'd think it would be a total endurance test, right? And critics have been wrestling with that exact structural question.
Because it is intimidating.
It is. But what director Aditya Dar does to make it digestible is actually super structural. He doesn't treat it like an agonizing marathon. He treats it like a relay race.
Oh, the chapter breaks.
Yeah, he breaks it down into 7 distinct, stylized chapters.
It really feels like a novel unfolding on screen.
Precisely. You get these ominous title cards, like A Burnt Memory or Lucifer.
Lucifer was a wild chapter.
So wild. But psychologically, for the audience, it provides micro resets. When a title card hits, your brain gets a chance to just exhale.
Just process the absolute trauma you just watched.
Exactly, before the next sprint begins. Plus, the film is doing double duty. It's acting as a prequel, showing Jaskarat's raw trauma and his recruitment by Ajay Sanyal.
Right.
And simultaneously, it's a sequel showing Hamza's bloody ascent to power after the 2025 blockbuster. It demands stamina, sure, but it uses that real estate to build a sprawling universe.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting. Because you can throw in all the chapter breaks you want, but if the audience is in the dark for 4 hours, you need a center of gravity.
You need something spectacular.
And based on literally every source we have, the unified consensus is that the glue holding this beast together is Ranveer Singh.
Oh, without a doubt. Universal acclaim across the board. From the highbrow critics to the mass market trade papers.
He is basically playing a dual role in a single body.
The shattered Jastaret and the terrifying Hamza.
It's a complete chameleon's masterclass. I mean, reviewers are literally using the phrase absolute beast mode.
The action sequences alone are incredibly physically demanding.
So gory, so explosive. But what the sources keep pointing out, and I love this detail, is his emotional restraint. There's this one specific scene a top reviewer highlighted.
Oh, the gruel scene.
Yes. After this massive ear-ringing sequence of violence, it cuts to Hamza sitting alone in a foreign land. He's just eating a bowl of flavorless gruel.
Dead silence.
Complete silence. And just a single tear trickles down his face. It's this tiny, microscopic moment where the monster facade slips. He communicates a decade of suppressed PTSD with just a micro-expression.
What's fascinating here is how that specific performance, that one quiet tear, shifts the entire focus of the franchise.
How so?
Well, the first Dhurandhar was very much an ensemble piece, right? A macro-level story about the geopolitical chessboard.
Yeah, tracking all the different agencies.
Exactly. But Part 2, despite its ballooned budget, is actually a deeply intimate, claustrophobic, psychological character study.
Disguised as a massive war film.
Exactly. It's exploring the psychological erosion of a man forced to become a monster for his country, and what happens when he realizes he can't turn that monster off.
Wow. And the visual language totally reflects that darkness. We have to talk about the cinematography by Vikash Nolaka.
It's so distinct.
If you look at your typical Bollywood blockbuster right now, the ones making 1,000 crore, they're all neon lights, high contrast, slow motion wind, glossy digital perfection.
The standard formula.
Right. Dhurandhar 2 looks at that formula and goes in the exact opposite direction.
Which is a massive financial risk on this budget, to make an ugly, gritty movie.
But it pays off. The sources specifically praise the film's shadow narrative.
I really love that phrase.
Right. It implies the lighting is telling its own story.
It means the darkness isn't just moody aesthetics, it's subtext. You have these scenes in narrow corridors, dim safe houses.
Cramped rooms lit by just a single flickering bare bulb.
Yeah, a heavily desaturated color palette that just drains the life out of the frame. It feels harsh, grimy, and completely suffocating.
Very anti-glamour.
It perfectly mirrors the reality of infiltration in the Liari underworld.
It really strips away the traditional heroism. But, and this is a big but, when you ask an audience to sit for 4 hours in that suffocating atmosphere, any structural flaw is going to be magnified tenfold.
Oh, absolutely. The cracks will show.
Which brings us to what doesn't work. There is a highly vocal section of critics and diehard fans who have serious issues with this sequel. And it makes me wonder, is this a classic case of the sequel curse?
The roller coaster analogy?
Yeah. It's like they built a much taller, faster roller coaster, but they forgot that the first ride was thrilling because of the tight, terrifying corners. By making it bigger, did they actually lose the tension?
That is a very apt analogy, and one of the biggest missing pieces of the track, according to the fans, is the villain void.
The ghost of Akshay Khanna.
Precisely. In the first film, Akshay played Reeman Dakite with this quiet, smoldering intensity.
He was such a cerebral threat.
Right, and his death left a massive vacuum. To fill it, the sequel brings in heavy hitters. Arjun Rampal as Major Iqbal and Danish Pandor as Uzair Balof.
Who are both terrifyingly huge guys.
They are. The reviews say they put in solid, physically imposing performances. But for many fans, they just couldn't entirely fill the specific psychological void.
The chess match tension was gone. It became just about brute force.
Exactly. Which naturally brings us to the cascading issues with pacing and plotting.
Yeah, the critics were pretty loud about this.
Because when you expand a narrative to 4 hours, you risk diluting the plot. Critics noted that chapters like Unknown Men and Lucifer felt significantly stretched.
Some plot resolutions felt totally unearned, too. like the subplot where Hamza's wife, Yelena, discovers his identity. The sources mention it relied way too heavily on cinematic convenience.
Rather than meticulous storytelling.
Right. And then there's the music controversy,
Oh boy.
which is an entire behind-the-scenes drama that directly impacted the vibe of the movie. The background score of the first film was legendary. It built all the anxiety.
But for part 2, there was that massive corporate label shift.
Yes, T-Series acquired the music rights from Saregama for a reported 27 crore deal.
27 crore just for audio rights.
It's staggering. And when T-Series pays that much, they need to recoup the investment through viral audio and streaming hits.
Right, so the creative mandate subtly shifts from what serves this gritty narrative to what will go viral on a 10-second reel.
Exactly. Now, Shashwat Sakdev did return to score the film. And there are standout tracks, like Ari Ari, which goes incredibly hard in the action scenes.
But the audience reaction was mixed.
Very mixed. A lot of fans felt the music was fundamentally misplaced. They felt the score lacked the cohesive punch of part 1.
Because they shoved upbeat retro songs into grim, blood-soaked undercover scenes.
Yeah. It completely shatters the suspension of disbelief. It proves how crucial audio is to maintaining psychological tension.
Half the movie is audio, but as passionately as fans are debating the pacing and the music,
Oh, it's nothing compared to the real-world stuff.
not even close. Because when a film expands its geopolitical canvas this drastically utilizing real-world tragedies, it stops being just a movie.
It becomes a total political flashpoint.
Yeah.
And just to be absolutely clear to you, the listener, before we dive into this next segment, we are not taking a side here.
Right, we are strictly recording what is in the sources.
Exactly. Our job is to impartially unpack why this movie is a massive cultural lightning rod.
Which raises an important question. What is the delicate balance filmmakers must strike when blending highly sensitive geopolitics with popcorn action cinema?
Because Dhurandhar 2 doesn't just bump into controversy. It sprints right toward it.
It really does. Look at the critical divide. On one hand, you have digital media outlets like The Wire and News Laundry explicitly labeling the film as right-wing propaganda.
Right, they point to what they call subtle BJP glazing.
Yeah, they note the film prominently features the elevation of Narendra Modi to prime minister as a turning point.
And it even hails the 2016 demonetization policy as this masterstroke of statecraft.
Plus, they argue the film weaponizes Hindu symbolism, like characters quoting the Bhagavad Gita to seemingly justify sadistic violence.
Their conclusion was pretty harsh. They basically said the film panders to a nation that wants to be misled by jingoism.
But then you look at the other side.
The mass audience reactions pouring out of theaters.
Exactly. They view the film through an entirely different, highly emotional lens. To them, it's an unapologetic, patriotic epic.
They praise it for honoring the unsung sacrifices of real intelligence operatives.
Right. For this massive segment of the audience, integrating real historical traumas like the 26/11 Mumbai attacks or the IC-814 hijacking, it doesn't feel like exploitation to them.
They feel it grounds the story in a shared national reality. It makes the protagonist's violently aggressive quest for retribution feel cathartic.
It's a fascinating, massive split in perspective.
One side sees a calculated political PR job, and the other sees a masterful patriotic tribute. And honestly, that chaos wasn't just on screen. It literally spilled over into the real world.
The release weekend logistics were an absolute nightmare.
A complete meltdown in South India.
Yeah, releasing a multilingual film on thousands of screens is hard, but they faced severe hurdles. The digital prints, the encrypted files needed to actually play the movie were delayed.
For the Telugu, Tamil, Malayalam, and Canada dubbed versions, right?
Yep. Exactly. We are talking about mass cancellations of highly anticipated premiere shows in huge markets like Bengaluru, Hyderabad, Chennai.
When you lose morning momentum there, you lose millions. Aditya literally had to issue a formal public apology on social media while his team processed furious refunds.
Just scrambling to get the digital files transmitted, and incredibly, that wasn't even the only off-screen drama.
Oh, the drone thing.
Yeah. According to the production reports, Aditya Dar's production house got blacklisted by the BMC.
The Brihan Mumbai Municipal Corporation, that is not a minor permit typo.
Not at all. It was for severe set violations and unauthorized drone use in the highly secure fort area of Mumbai,
which houses incredibly sensitive financial and naval installations.
Flying unauthorized drones there is a massive security violation.
It's like the production team was breaking rules in the real world just as much as their spies were on screen.
They were operating on the absolute edge of disaster, creatively and logistically.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground. It's time for the verdict. What does this all mean? When you pull back from the hype, the thousand crore projections, and the political noise, what are we left with?
I think we're left with one of the most fascinating case studies in recent cinematic history.
Agreed. It proves Indian cinema has the technical chops and the audience appetite for sprawling, two-part espionage epics.
It delivered raw violence, unparalleled visual grit, and a career-defining performance from Ranveer Singh.
And it achieved all of that while leaving its audience fiercely debating its pacing, its music, and its heavy politics.
Masterpiece or propaganda, it's a film that refuses to be ignored. It's definitely a must-watch, and only to be part of the cultural conversation.
Exactly. It commands the conversation. So drop a comment below with your own rating out of 5 if you've seen it. But before we go, I want to leave you with a brand new thought to mull over long after you step out of that theater.
The ending.
The ending. It is so surprisingly haunting. After all the torture, the endless violence, Hamza doesn't get a hero's welcome. There is no parade.
He just stands in the shadows.
Watching his family in Punjab from a distance. Because he realizes returning would only drag them into his nightmare, he actively chooses permanent exile and unhealed PTSD.
It completely subverts the triumphant action movie ending we've been fed for decades.
Completely. Which makes you wonder, if the modern blockbuster hero no longer gets a happy homecoming, but must accept a life of trauma in the shadows, what does that say about our evolving, sobering understanding of real national sacrifice?
That's a heavy thought.
It is. We started by talking about the audacious demand to sit in a darkened theater for 4 hours. Maybe that darkness is exactly where the film needs you to be to truly understand a hero who can never come back into the light. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next deep dive.